Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lucy and in today's video I'm filming my March TBR. So I can't believe we're at March already. Like, how are we 3 months through the year? I have no idea. But I'm really agreeing with TBRs this year and I'm finding that I'm actually sticking to them. So I am kind of, as of filming, above what my reading challenge says I should be at this point. I think I'm like 7-8 books down, which I'm really pleased with. Like, my reading is going really well this year and I am keen to keep that going, which is why I wanted to film another TBR, especially for March, as there are a few new releases I want to talk about that are on the horizon, but also some series that I'm really looking forward to continuing, and I wanted to share my reading plans with you. So the first book I really need to get to in March is to finish off a series, and this book is The Burning God by R.F. Kuang. So The Burning God is the final installment in the Poppy War series, and this is a grimdark fantasy series that is all about war, you guessed it. It is inspired by the Opium Wars and features a lot of kind of like Chinese military history, and the plot is very like inspired by that. And it features our main character Rin, who is a shaman. And this book is the third book of the series, so I am not going to go into any detail as to what's happening in this book, because let's just say the second book, which was The Dragon Republic, ends on the most dramatic note ever. Like, I have never felt so betrayed by anything in my life. So I actually have been waiting for The Burning God to come out in paperback, and it was released in paperback in October 2021. So I've had this sitting on my shelves for a good few months now and I've been too scared to read it. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. I predict that it will all go down in this book and I'm not prepared for the heartbreak that will cause. So I have been putting this book off for sure, but I feel like March is definitely the time to read it. I'm just in the mood for a real chunky fantasy book, and I've not actually read a very chunky book in a while. Well, not since House of Gangreth, which is a monster. But I really need to finish the series off, as I said, and The Burning God has been on my TBR for the longest time. So I will be reading this book in March. Let me know without any spoilers if you enjoyed how this book kind of finished the Poppy War series off. I really hope it's a satisfying conclusion. Like, this is why I hate reading conclusions, because I always get disappointed in some way, but I'm really looking forward to reading this book. The second book I'm going to be reading in March is something that I think the whole world is waiting for, and I am lucky enough to have a proof copy. It is Book of Night by Holly Black. So I am so lucky to have been sent a exclusive hardback limited edition proof. So this is number, I don't know if you can see that, it's number 63 out of 100 numbered limited copies. Guys, I'm beside myself with excitement for this book. This is Holly Black's adult debut, Book of Night, and this is my most anticipated book of the year. I honestly just can't wait for this book. There is not a lot of information as to what this book is about on the actual proof, but on the back it says, "Once upon a time, a boy was born with a hungry shadow." And it's just stunning. Oh my god, I'm so excited. So this is a adult fantasy, and this is, as I said, Holly Black's first adult fantasy. I'm a huge fan of Holly Black's writing. I adore her Folk of the Air series. Like, that's one of my favorite fantasy series ever. So Book of Night is already high in my expectations. Like, I am sure this book is going to be amazing. I've had a look at some early reviews as well, and they're all like 5 stars. So is this book gonna just break me? Probably. I'm so excited. New Holly Black. That's it. That's all I need to say. The next book I really want to read is actually a March release, and it is The Balloon Thief by Anissa Marufu. So this is a very kind of like plain looking proof, very simple proof. The cover is absolutely stunning, and this book was actually featured in my most anticipated books of 2022 video, which I will leave linked in the description. So this is a fantasy debut, I believe, and actually explores a girl who has to escape from an arranged marriage, I believe, like a betrothal, and she escapes to the sky, and she escapes in this hot air balloon. And in the hot air balloon, she meets someone who is kind of from like a rival background to her, so like a different culture, and they are like mortal enemies. And I think they have to kind of like escape from their pasts together, and I think there'll be a romance in this, so it already sounds amazing. But the whole idea of like the balloon thief, like they escape in this hot air balloon, sounds so magical and so brilliant, and I'm super excited to read this one. This also draws on the author's South Asian heritage and weaves in a lot of that kind of heritage and mythology, I believe. So this sounds amazing, and this is publishing on the 3rd of March. The next book I want to read in March is a book that I'm going to be reading on my Kindle. I'm really trying to get through a lot of the books on my Kindle this month, and I'm hoping that I'll read more than the books I mention in this video, but who knows. The next book, however, is firmly on my TBR because I read the first book in this series in January, and I was not expected for how good it actually was. So the book I want to read is Stolen Heir by Sophie Lark, and this is like a mafia-esque romance book. This whole series features a kind of like mafia style family and gives each of them their like happily ever after. So the first book, which was Brutal Prince, was honestly 10 out of 10. I absolutely adored that book, and I had quite like, not low expectations, but I was like, I haven't really heard a lot about this book, but I do know that the author Sophie Lark, everybody seems to love her in the kind of romance community especially. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna keep my thoughts open. I'm just gonna go into this with very little expectation, and I was blown away. So this book, which is Stolen Heir, this one is like the sequel to that, I guess, but featuring a different character, so a different member of the family. And it features kind of I think like a kidnapping plot, which I don't really read a lot of like really dark romances, so I'm a little bit like hesitant if I am gonna actually really like this book. But I really loved the first book in the series because that was like a marriage of convenience type of trope, and I love that trope so much. I love anything to do with like an arranged marriage or marriage of convenience, like as a romance trope, like that's perfect for me. So I actually really enjoy Sophie Lark's writing style as well. I think she's a great writer. Like the first book blew me away. So I'm really keen to continue this series, which is called the Brutal Birthright series, I think. But I will leave all links to the books down in the description bar below. I also know that Jessica from Peace Love Books, who I love her channel so much. I get all my romance recommendations from her channel. Please do check her out. But I know she loves this series, and I know she loves Sophie Lark, so I had to continue with the series when I saw that Jessica is a fan. What can I say? I've been influenced. So I am just super excited to get to some more romance. Like I am a big romance reader, but I do read a lot of like fantasy romance. So I do want to kind of like broaden my horizons and really explore the romance genre properly and read more contemporary romances, I guess, that aren't like fantasy, because I read a lot of fantasy. Not that that's a bad thing, but that's like my comfort zone, if you know what I mean. So I'm really excited about the potential of this series, and I will let you guys know what I think of it. And the final book I really want to get to in March is a non-fiction book, and this is The 5 AM Club by Robin Sharma. So I'm really keen this year to read a lot of motivational books, motivational non-fiction, and self-help. So I have always been interested in the self-help genre. I don't know, I just like am a bit of a kind of like self-reflective person, and I really love books that really challenge my beliefs about myself and like, you know, inspire me to do something different and kind of improve my life in some way. So I am really not a morning person. Like I woke up at 11 AM this morning as I'm filming this on a Saturday, and I hold like a lot of shame around that. I don't know why. I think it's because the world, I think, is really built for like morning people. You know, how it's built around people starting work at 9 AM and everything, and that's just not really who I am. Like if I could start work at 11 AM and work till about like 7 or 8, like that would suit me fine. But the world isn't built like that. And I really would like to become more of a morning person so that I have that time in the mornings before work starts, before the world wakes up, to actually do things that are creative, like writing, because I am trying to write a second project. So more on that later. But anyway, I have seen the 5 AM Club everywhere. I'm sure all of you guys have as well. It's one of those like really well-known self-help books. And this book is supposed to be really practical and actually quite motivational to, you know, wake up really early. And I don't think I'm ever gonna get to 5 AM. Like maybe that's a limiting belief of mine, but I am keen to start to get up early, you know, like I want to kind of challenge myself and see if I can make this a habit. So I feel like this book is going to be the push in the right direction at least. If I start waking up at 5 AM after this book, like I will give it 5 stars. I will be promoting it forever. So watch this space. It might work, it might not. I would love to know if you've read this book and have challenged yourself to wake up at 5 AM. Like, did it work for you? How did you find it? Hit me up down in the comments below. I want to hear your thoughts. So I'm also going to be reading that book on Kindle as well. I find that Kindle has the best kind of deals for nonfiction, like those kind of self-helpy, you know, smart thinking type books, like are always reduced on Kindle. So if you do have a Kindle or an e-reader, definitely check out like, you know, nonfiction books on e-readers. They are a little bit cheaper. So that is my one tip. Anyway guys, that is it from me today. Thank you so much for watching this video, and do let me know down in the comments below what books you will be reading in March. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you very, very soon in my next video. Bye!